were in Cape Town during COVID. We had total shutdown, lockdown. I happened to read an article in a newspaper about the welcome stamp in Barbados. And I still remember just saying to my husband, Johan, that I can't believe that some countries are totally locked down and people are going out of work, and then other countries are coming up with such beautiful ideas of saying, come into our country and we can give you a welcome stamp for a year. So that was how we thought about it. Of course, once I said it to my husband, he immediately said, well, why don't we go? So yeah, that was the start of it. It took us how long to get the visa? A few weeks. But then I was scared. I said to Johan, I don't believe it. I think it could be a scam, and we're going to send all our money to pay for the visa, and then it'll be a scam. But my daughter did all the homework. She looked on all the sites. She said, no, Mom, it's not a scam. So that's how we are, yeah.
So I'm a management consultant. I've been doing it for 23 years. In the last year, I've been working on a project which is for a Brazilian client, and I'm working for a Canadian company. So in the first 5 months, I was present in Brazil, but when I went home on March 12, that's when we went into the 7 months of lockdown. So when we saw this opportunity, I realized Cape Town is 6 hours ahead, whereas, of course, Barbados is right in the right time zone. So now I can work with my clients in the same time zone. And it's great to be able to do remote work in the right time zone, because this is right halfway between Toronto and Belo Horizonte, which is in Brazil. Barbados sits in the middle, so it's really well located for that.
Oh, well, I was working at an animation studio in Cape Town. My contract ended kind of right at the time we decided to come here. So now I'm currently doing an online course in modeling for animation, as well as doing some freelance work for character rigging with some French indie film production company. It works well for me because time zones aren't so much an issue, because I don't have to work concurrently with anyone. But I much prefer being here than I was in Cape Town.
Not a culture shock, but we didn't know anything about Barbados at all. No, totally first time, yeah. The only shock we got was the price of your food. That we found very expensive. Yeah. Otherwise, no, we just adapted. I must say, we've just had a lot of friendly people to interact with. I think Barbadians, if that's how you say it, are very polite. They allow us to cross the road without trying to kill us, so we're not used to that. But we've had a super time, and we are actually in Margate Gardens, and the lady who runs it is Ava, and she has just been absolutely remarkable. So we've really been really happy. Yeah, good experience, really good. So in Cape Town, the waters are really cold, so you will only have the very bravest swimming. And the water's much rougher because it's been on the Atlantic. And yeah, sharks, big sharks. So there's always that. The water's here is so beautiful. I've never seen such clean water. Just so warm. You can spend hours and hours, and you don't even have to do any work in the water. You can just float. So that's really great. Yeah. And we're close to the Accra beach. Just fantastic. Absolutely. Walk on the boardwalk, get to the sea. No, it's very good. Yeah. And there's a lifeguard on duty. So I can feel safe. Yeah.
I used to think that I had a fear of the ocean, but coming here I realized I just had a fear of sharks. Yeah. So without the sharks, I actually find that I really enjoy swimming in the ocean, which was new for me.
I think the coronavirus history will tell us what was the best way or better ways of handling it. The fact that Barbados has been able to control it to such an extent that there's no community spread is incredible, so that you can welcome people in who, if they are safe, can be accommodated. So that's awesome, because the rest of the world's going crazy. I mean, Brazil, where I was working, South Africa's not doing great, North America's a bit of a mess. So it's good to come here and actually see the adherence to basic protocols like mask wearing when you have to get close to people. But when you're on the boardwalk, social distancing is fine. So there's just a sensibility and a respect here for doing smart things, which is great. Whereas if you're in a place where people are stiff-necked and refuse to wear masks, you're in for a world of pain. So it's good to be in a nice bubble of sanity and beauty and safety.
So because we are on the 1 year stamp, we wanted it to be sustainable. Number one, I wanted my own kitchen. I could do my own cooking whenever I wanted. And also we were looking at the budget. I mean, hotels would just be crazy. Also, we wanted a sense of belonging. And if you're in a hotel, you're generally away from everything in your own little space. So when we left South Africa, we came to the Crane for the week because of the isolation that we needed. But we hadn't booked a place to stay because I just kept saying to Johan, when I get here, I want to see for myself. It's very difficult to feel a place when you just look online. I think when we landed at the airport, they said to us, where would we stay after we've left the Crane? And we quite honestly had to say we don't know yet. I think we gave them a bit of a fright because they were expecting us to be a bit more a bit more organized. But we've traveled a lot, and so I don't get stressed about that. Just looking through so many places, because of course we were looking at between our budgets. And then, unfortunately, a lot of the places that we did like were already taken, so that gave me a bit of a stressful situation. But we found a place in Margate Gardens through Mandy. I'm not quite sure which estate agent she's from, but the Margate Gardens is a fantastic place. I mean, it's just, we got the beautiful view of the sea on the one side and the pool on the other. And we're just so close to the Lanterns Mall, which is great for us to do a little shopping. Of course, we buy the boardwalk, which is a winner. So I just felt like we had really got the best place on the whole island. I couldn't believe it when we walked in there to go and have the viewing. I just said, this is where we're going to stay. So we've signed a 6-month deal with looking if we could stay on for a year, depending on what COVID is doing out there.
I've used Booking.com over the years, and so that's always been my go-to option. But I noticed that when we started doing our searches just before we left South Africa and in the first week staying at the Crane, that you could see the pricing models were still stuck in the old frame of mind of short-term pricing. And so you could see that, even if you put in a month or 2 months, there wasn't any kind of discounting to make it feasible to do what you had to do. And of course, Verity in that week during our first arrival here was panicking because, things weren't available. The pricing seemed crazy. But I had been contacted via Twitter by an Italian TV journalist who had seen my tweets about our first arrival here. And he'd asked me, well, is this only for rich people? And so I shared with him what I thought our budget would be. Which there will be $3,000 per month for accommodation and the same for the rest of our living expenses. And that's what it's turned out to be. Because, of course, in the first week, staying at the Crane, living in the lap of luxury, that was the cost of 1 week. But we were never going to accommodate that, of course, sustainably. So when we walked in through the door and Verity's, face lit up, I realized, okay, praise the Lord, we can relax. We found our home, for the next while.
It's actually a strange situation because on paper it sounds like ideal, working from home in your own environment. But I worked from home for 7 months in my 2-bedroom apartment that I shared with my parents during lockdown. And you quickly realize that the idealism is a bit of a facade, and you quickly fall into a pattern where your bedroom and your workspace have become one space, and you can't separate the two. And you very quickly fall into a space where you don't have a personal life anymore because your work is now pervading it. And that for my own kind of mind space is quite detrimental because I would usually work when I was in office, regular hours, 8 to 5:30. But I found myself working from, 8 to 12, midnight, 1 a.m. just because I could and just because my work was available to me. So I actually think it's not for me personally, it's not sustainable. It wasn't sustainable, and I would take an office environment with real people and real interaction over being in a little bubble in a dark room for 7 months any day. Well, I'm very new to the industry, so I only graduated with my diploma in 2018, and I only have 1.5 years of industry experience. So I'm still far ways off from being able to kind of impart learning upon anyone else. But Barbados would be a great place to have a studio. It's close to America and Canada and Brazil. It's a nice place to stay. So I definitely think that if I were in the position to kind of start a studio, I definitely would. I mean, I was for 7 months I was cooped up in basically just my bedroom, but we didn't have direct sunlight at that time of year. 7 months with no sunlight under strict lockdown regulations. Eventually, you start going a little bit insane. And now I've come here and the whole world's opened up, and I've become more active. I've started swimming, which I never used to do. I wake up at a regular time and I go to sleep at a regular time. So I've corrected my sleep schedule, and I think that has been a result of a positive change of space as well as a positive change of work environment. So if you are able to come to Barbados, it's done me wonders. So maybe, I don't know, I can't see any reason not to do it.
The whole journey had only one stressful phase, and that was the journey from Heathrow to Gatwick in London, because we went from Cape Town to London to Bridgetown. And being from South Africa, even though it's part of the Commonwealth, we require a transit visa. Now, in the past, when we go to the US and Canada, they waive that requirement because we have the right visas for Canada and the US. But the small print does not say that if you're going to Barbados, that you can have that requirement waived. So we actually had to get transit visas, cost us $600. It was supposed to take 15 working days. It actually took 16, and we got it the day before we left. So the most stressful part of the journey, which gave me grey hair, was waiting for the passports to come back from the UK High Commission in South Africa to say we could actually do the 1 hour transit between two airports. The rest was smooth, was wonderful. Coming into the airport, we were fortunate enough to be coming out of premium economy, so we got off the flight quite early. So we were near the front of the queue. So we got through the logistics fairly smoothly. I could look over my shoulder and see that the folks who got out the back of the plane were going to spend another couple of hours at the airport. But I thought, wow, good thing that we went with premium economy. So other than the transit visa story, it was all smooth sailing. Of course, going through the luxury hotel, which had its own doctors and testing was great. And then other than the kind of nervousness about where will we stay after the crane, that was the only second period of kind of nerves and a bit of grey hair. And then getting straight into where we're staying now in Hastings, has been like a duck to water. During our first week, we went to the famous Cutters, which is near the Crane Hotel. And of course, they argue that they have the best rum punch. Well, we certainly had a jug or two, and it... And it certainly took you to another level. We still actually have to discover the cuisine of Barbados. We've really been working. But as soon as our leave starts on the 18th of December, between 18 and December and 4 January, we're going to go on leave. We're going to see the island, eat the food, and drink a lot more rum. So ask me at the end of December.
So I'm usually a gin drinker. That's kind of my liquor of choice. Coming here and seeing that the kind of tariffs and prices of spirits are a lot higher than where we come from, but the price of rum is a lot lower. So I've switched from being an avid gin drinker to an avid rum drinker, and it was the best decision I've ever made.
I think it takes us a while to relax because we were just so used to being on a quick way of living. So only I think the last week have I really thought, hey, I'm learning to relax. I don't have to walk so fast. I still talk fast, but that's also starting to abate. But I just think that, as Jen said, during lockdown, we weren't allowed to go anywhere in South Africa. They were really strict on that. Only to the shops and back, very essential shopping. So we did start to suffer from vitamin D. We've made up for that in big doses. I just think also having my daughter and my husband with me, it's just amazing, because I know so many families have not been able to see each other. So I just think to have my family, it's just added to everything, yeah. But food-wise, you sell that little roll and it has salted fish on it. What's it called? Yeah, that is great. And it's only oh, more fish cake. And how much does it cost? $20, which is fine by me. Yeah, more fish cake. Yeah, more fish cakes, please.